So the eighth race of the season is done, and it's the Austrian Grand Prix won by Mercedes driver George Russell, who did that in a brilliant fashion. You just have to appreciate the work that his engineer, the team, the Mercedes garage were able to do to grind out that win for himself. And it's the second win of the season for him, his seventh in his Formula One career. Congratulations to George for getting that one. Max Verstappen came in second in their home race for Red Bull, which was quite commendable. He started in fifth position and finished second. Quite a huge jump. You could say that the little updates and upgrades they brought to the Austrian Grand Prix kind of worked. You can just hope that if they build up on this momentum, it's going to go a long way for them. Kimi Antonelli came in third, who is the teammate to George Russell. It was a double podium for the Mercedes this time around. Quite a number of things I want to touch on, but let's get into the overall results and how everyone ended in the race, and touch on some key moments from the race. The race didn't really bring us much drama like that, but let's just highlight some of my favorite moments, and let's get to talk about some of those moments that made it for you. Fourth position was Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. Fifth was Lewis Hamilton, who started third. Isaac Hadjar in sixth position for the Red Bull. Lando Norris in seventh. Charles Leclerc, who started second, in eighth position. Liam Lawson ninth. Arvid Lindblad 10th, which was a double podium for the Racing Bulls. 11th, Bortoleto. Hulkenberg came in 12th. Pierre Gasly 13th. Olivier Behrman in 14th. Franco Colapinto 15th. Ocon 16th. Albon 17th. And Alonso finished 18th. It was a double DNF for the Cadillacs as they had mechanical issues which didn't allow both cars to move forward. Carlos Sainz also had a DNF, and Lance Stroll also did not finish the race. I think I'll start with the race winner himself, talking about George Russell, because coming into race day today on Sunday from the qualies yesterday in Q3, a lot of people would have been surprised that George Russell was still able to make it to provisional pole, or to make it to the pole, to start on pole, despite the fact that there was a yellow flag already being waved. He came out to explain it that he saw green and was able to still go for that last launch to be able to start the grid in P1 at that. A lot of people would not want to agree because there was still a Kimi Antonelli who was thinking that he could still give it a go, but had to abort his lap, thinking he saw a double yellow flag in that. But still very, very controversial how George Russell was still able to do that, because after Max Verstappen had crashed in Q3 right there, the yellow flag was out. Just have to give it up for Max Verstappen, how he was able to, to rival his way out and, still make it down to the podium. He started in P5 and was able to make it down to P2 in that home race for the Red Bull. He would have wanted to win the race, but, still lacking pace as compared to the rockets of the Mercedes right there. Kudos has to be given to Isaac Hadjar. A lot of people are not giving him props. Isaac Hadjar has been doing quite well, at least in the last set of races. Aside the DNF he's had, he's been able to finish in the top 10, and that's a complimentary effort to the Red Bull. Another moment in the race that I felt Mercedes goofed was at lap 24 when Carlos Sainz retired from the race. The yellow flag was out, and Bono, that's the race engineer of Kimi Antonelli, called Kimi into the pits for change of tires. Meanwhile, the virtual safety car had not been brought out already. Yesterday at the qualies, something somewhat, in this manner also happened, which he was not able to, set a lap time for himself to beat the time that he had set before. This time around, I felt he could have led the race. He could have given it a bit of time to allow the safety car to be brought out before pitting. At that point, I felt that, marred the race for Kimi Antonelli, because I felt he could have led the race at that moment the yellow flag was brought out. All in all, the Austrian Grand Prix was more of a tire strategy or pit stop competition between the top four teams, the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, and also Ferrari. But the best team, got it at the end of the race, which was the Mercedes and also Red Bull, who were able to, extract the best out of their various cars. Now, let's get to Ferrari. I said it in my last review of the Barcelona Grand Prix, which Lewis Hamilton won, that you should not 100% trust the Ferrari, because a Ferrari that is doing well in this race can come in the next race and make everything woeful for themselves. Now think about this. Two drivers who started in P2 and P3 found themselves out of the podium. That's totally disappointing. For a team that wants to chase the Mercedes up there, you can't find yourself at the back foot of this. Inconsistency has always been the problem of the Ferrari. I totally do not understand how the tire management or tire strategy they brought into the Austrian Grand Prix was, managed, because I totally didn't understand how Lewis Hamilton was coming into the pits for his softs, and then the pit stop management was not just it. Even for Charles Leclerc, you just have to spare him some thoughts right now. I'm very sure he's not in the best mood, he's not in the best form. It's been disappointments, race in, race out. And I'm sure it's totally unacceptable from the Tifosi, from the Ferrari fans out there. And you just have to agree that the Ferraris have been their own undoing this season. You do well in the Barcelona Grand Prix, you come in the next race, you bring in some new components, and you are finding yourself in the back foot. I mean, they need to just do their background check once again and get both drivers competing with the leading drivers. I mean, I've got nothing to say again, because it was boring at some point for me, because I really just didn't see much from the race. It was just the same thing on and on again. But we saw a bit of battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, because you ask yourself what happened to Lewis Hamilton's car at that point. It was more like a yo-yo moment. Twice it happened in the race. Lewis Hamilton trying to get the best of Max Verstappen coming back to also overtake, and it happened once again. That's a battle that a whole lot of people would want to see over and over again. But besides that, there was really nothing that happened in the Austrian Grand Prix. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What were your highlights of the race? And is there anyone that can stop the Mercedes team right about now? Are the Red Bull back to their best form, seeing Max Verstappen on the podium? Can we say that with this marks the beginning of great things happening for the Red Bull this season? With the new upgrade that they brought, can you say they can sustain this till the end of the season? We'll keep our fingers crossed concerning that. And with this win that George Russell has got, he cuts the gap with his teammates to about 40 points, and he places himself in second ahead of Lewis Hamilton. It is Kimi Antonelli, George Russell, and Lewis Hamilton in that order in the Drivers' Championship. We can't wait for the next race, which is the British Grand Prix in Silverstone next week. I have my fingers crossed for starting that, because it's also going to be a race that brings the sprint, and a whole lot of people are looking forward to that race. So there you have it for the review of the Austrian Grand Prix. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What were your highlights of it? And I'll see you in my next video, where we talk about the preview to the British Grand Prix. Do well to have for yourself a great time. Cheers.